Okay, let's get back to the issue of defending. I'm not going to be in front of the camera right now. I could pretend like I'm invisible. So just think of me as being invisible for right now. I'm not really invisible. I'm just pretending to be invisible. But here's the thing. People get into a group or into a culture or a member of a tribe. And I think it's just an instinctive thing to defend your group, to defend your tribe, to defend your culture. It's just a part of what we are as humans. I think it's a part of what we are as just living beings, as animals in a sense. And I mean animals not in a negative way, which people tend to use that in a pejorative sense. We are animals. I mean, just like a dog or a cat or wolves or whatever. We defend our pack. If we're with that group or with our flock or whatever, we defend it against what we perceive to be harm to it. And I think this is true with every group out there. And this is true with religious people. They're going to defend religion. And you would defend religion with everything you got, whether it makes sense or not. The only thing that truly makes sense when you're under attack in a real situation, let's imagine you are really under attack in a physical sense of it. There is no logic or reason. It's just simply surviving the attack. If you can survive the attack, that's the only thing that makes sense. So people want to survive the attack. They want their religion to live on. Same thing is true with if you're an atheist. And atheism has become a thing. I'm not going to say it's a religion. I'm going to say it's a thing that it has to be defended. You have to defend your right to not believe, which, I'm not going to go too far with that. And people get together and the tribal instincts come out on both sides of these issues. And that's true with many other things too. I noticed this with the gun people. I've been watching a lot of gun videos and listening to people talk about the debates, but not only talk about debate, but even people who are gun enthusiasts. And they talk about their guns and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, it's a way of life, a way of looking at life, a way of a belief. I was listening to these two guys talking about the latest legislation that's out there. And even though it's kind of a watered down legislation about gun control, because Congress is never really going to get tough on that. At least not in my lifetime. That's not going to ever happen. The thing is that they were defending their rights. They were even opposed to the watered down legislation, because it's a threat to their way of life, their way of looking at something, their way of what they consider to be important. One of the guys said that, it's every American's right to own a gun. It's our way of life. It's what defines us, and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm thinking, not really. That's what I'm thinking. But that's the way some people look at it. People are defined by a lot of things. And why not just be who you are? I mean, I'm not defined by my religion. I'm not defined by, my stance on a particular political thing, or even by some writer that I happen to admire, or some particular movie that I'm into, or some particular hobby that I'm into. And some people define themselves by their hobbies or their interest in things. Some people into video games, they define themselves by it. Their whole life revolves around it. The one thing that's true in life is I tend to think that we exaggerate things. We take things and we make them more important than they really are. If you're into guns, guns are more important than they really are. If you're into comic books, they're more important than they really are. And if you're into the Bible, it's more important than it really is. Church life, it's more important. And it really does become more important than it really is. It really isn't that important. And even being an atheist isn't that important. And even being skeptic isn't that important. And you know what? Even science isn't really that important. But we all want something to be the most important thing, and without it, everything would collapse. You know what? When we were animals like every other animal, the only thing that was important was just survival. And those instincts just don't go away, do they?